Hello everyone, I'm ProJ here, back again with another update on the Medieval-2 toolkit. As you can see here, we've already progressed about 3 versions since the last video, and in the new versions I've added about 2 new workspaces, and the major one being the unit card maker and another one for a Strat Model converter. That add-on was made by Medic and I've ported it to be compatible with our toolkit. And now without further delay, let's just move right on to the tools. As you can see in the side menu, I made it so that the workspaces are now visible, clickable in this small buttons, which is this is the import, export, the Strat model, the settlements, which is still a work in progress, the quality of life sections, and the new unit info card. You can still switch over to the old menu if you scroll down here from the quality of life section and go to the interface. You have a classic workspace button, which converts back to the old mode. I made it so that it uses the new section strip, because if I add more workspaces in the future, it'll for sure get cluttered over the top, so I made it appear in the side, which will be easier to manage for the future. So now let's move right on to the unit info card. At the top, the paths are the same as usual. It just transfers over from the other paths that we have in the other modes. Only one you have to set up is a new card output. You can make it as your own. And we read the mod data. What we can do now is that whenever we import a model from our tool, it automatically gets imported into the list of armatures that we have. Like for example, I imported this guy over here, Gulduk Works. And if you have a skeleton that we want to add in by ourselves, we can also add in like this, add selected. And we can also change the names of the armature. And the name of the armature will be what will be the exported unit cards will have the name as. As you can see, it edited, and we can also make it so that it adds all unlisted armatures as well. And as usual, we can also remove the entry or purge the entire list, and we can select if you want to delete the armatures as well, or just delete the entry names. And what I've also done is that we can tick all or none, and only the ones which have been ticked will have their unit cards created. So now here's an example of a Google work. All right, if you also are not able to go have their model look like this, all you have to do is go into viewport shading solid, go to texture, flat lighting, and then texture. You can also have it switch to that mode automatically if you have this mode selected, like solid texturing. And when you import a model, it automatically switches to this view, because this view is what is the most honest view of the model, I guess, which is very close to what it'll appear in game compared to this one, which compared to your material preview view, which will have the very plasticky shine to it. So now, and another cool thing we have implemented here is that if you have a model with lots of variations, let's say we have lots of variations over here, I can also do like shuffle variations, and it'll automatically switch over to the ones, like it'll only activate one per model. And you can use this if you want to quickly set up a unit card. So now that we have this set up, and another update I did to the import tool is that when you import a rider that has multiple meshes, it'll be linked together like this. So you have the rider inside the works mesh and the armatures. Okay, so now you by default, how I made it is that you can select the unit card of 48 times 66 resolution. Some mods also do like 68 times 90, but it's recommended to just use the 48 times 66. If you also want like reforged style unit info cards of the full body, you can also do the 180 times 230 resolution. And you can also switch to having a custom width and height as you want. What super sampling does is it just takes this many times of the resolution, and so for a high quality image, and then shrinks them down into the desired output. The samples is just for the rendering, how much you want and how much time you want to invest into it. The more the more it is better, but for us, like 32 or 64 is enough because we're doing like very low poly stuff. You can also have the HD renders imported along with the normal unit cards. Like if you select it, you can select like how much bigger do you want the HD resolution to be. And or we can also keep the render that's we have before we shrink it down 10 times. And now the line art is used to add like very deep lines to the meshes with relative to the camera. You can see it later on when I set up the camera so that the unit card doesn't appear too blurry. It is enabled by default. You can also disable it if you want. And you can set up the zoom level, the lighting if you want it or not. You want a sun or point light. And if you want a control rig, this is important if you are going to use a custom pose, which we already have a massive pose library. For now, we have an inverse kinematic of an infantry, an archer, and a dwarf for us, the smaller units. This is most of the time enough for all, for majority of the units. So we choose the IK, and if your model is like floating up or floating down, we can select this. So it'll reset to the ground. And now what we do is we create the unit card cameras. And you can see here that we also have a very useful overlay over here. So that when you do make the unit card, it you can it doesn't overlap with this, and like make the words not visible like this. And this is a very useful overlay that was created by K. And after that, we also have a setup card compositor. This is the one that will set up all the related things. The only reason that I made it a separate button is in case you have your own compositor settings over here, like all your compositing settings, and this will set it all up for you, and will also make the line art outlines. So I press this button. You only have to do this once, and what it'll do, it'll just set all of these things up, like we blur it, and then we rescale the image, and then we also do the various different filters on it, like the gamma, exposure, and sharpening, and to create a new unit card. Like this is what I meant by the unit outlines. See how it has made the sharp edges more pronounced, so that it will no longer appear to be like very blurry when you make the unit card. And one suggestion I'd like to make is that before you set up the card compositor, to have all the units already in the right position that you want the unit cards to be. Because if you once you have the line card, the line outline selected like this grease pen modifier, is that it'll take a lot of resources for if you want to move the units around, the mesh around, because it'll try to recalculate all these lines at every single frame. So, or you can just delete these temporary so that you can move your units without really lagging too much. So right now, let's do it like this. Let's say I want it to be, I guess, about this. And also when making like mount units, I think it's generally recommended to have the body be slightly larger than the mounts. Otherwise, you'll have you just have the mount take up most of the space. Okay, I think this is good enough. And then now let's generate the card compositor again. So to make the line arts. Don't worry if it goes not responding for a bit. Now you can see here that the lines have appeared once again. Don't worry if it appears partial in this view, because once you go into render mode, all the lines will appear on the full mesh. It's just like a visual bug that Blender has. And now that we have our controller, once we select it, these two buttons will pop up at the side. This one opens up the pose library. This is the most important feature of our toolkit. We have a different pose library, and in here you can like increase the view, and you can. These are all the ready-made poses that WK made, and you can also switch over, open this, and look at all the different categories that we have. This guy is a one-handed unit, so I guess let's go for this pose. Yep, looks pretty good. Or we can go like this guy, this pose. You just double click this and it automatically applies that pose. And if you want it to just like move a few of the bones, like you can see here, this is completely intentional because the line arts is made with respect to the camera, so it will always appear in front of the mesh. And I've also added the button here right here if to go to the pose mode, or you can do it manually by just going to the pose mode over here. Once we go to the pose mode, if we can select a few bones. If we just select a few bones, like say I want these bones, we want, and if I select a different armature now, different pose now, it'll only move it for these bones. You can see here that only this bone moved. Let's say I want it to have this guy. Oh, this is just looks a bit hard. Some poses will look a bit weird. Yeah, see here, it has more of the shield down instead of in the front. You can go to the camera again, and you can see here we have a pretty good model now. So you click this again to go out of the pose mode, and now this should be everything set up now. Oh, and one last thing is that we can set up the factions that we want to import. And what it'll do is when it exports the unit card, it'll make sure like to create these folders. You can just hover over this, and you can see here which folder it'll write the cards to. If you select multiple, it'll create multiple copies and it'll paste there. So all you have to do is copy the folder and paste it into your mod, and no need to rename all the stuff by yourself. And you can also by default, if it doesn't have any information on it, it'll just use the mercs. You can also like all, none, or use mercs folder. Okay. And then this is on by default, is that when you render it, it'll make it so that it'll only render this unit. It'll isolate everything else. It'll isolate this unit from everything else. So despite it being renderable, it'll ignore all of it. It'll turn everything off except this. And I've also made it so it as only visible only on. So only the visible units, visible models are rendered, because normally if you just have this off, invisible, the render button is still there, so it will still get rendered. So what it just does, it searches for all the visible, invisible meshes and turns this off temporarily and turns it back on once it's done. You can also see here, like if you want the whole unit or just the tick parts, like if you want like just the rider or just the warg. And then everything should be ready. And we just press render cards to start rendering. Boom, there we have it. Here's the new unit card that we have. And we can also do like open cards folder. You say, you see that the app appears here. Mercs. Units. What was our guy's name? Yeah. So Golder or Quarks. We have our unit card here now. These are some of the other unit cards that I made using R2. You can see how versatile it is. And this should be more or less enough for the unit card maker. So now you can close out of the menu over here, or if you move elsewhere. And now to the strap map model. I'll just turn this off for now. So we have a, let's say we take a dimensional unit. Like this is the unit that I have now. So what I do is that it's over here, the T number. So what it does is it takes the armature name. So let's just change the armature name. If you press this, it'll make sure to assign the name and the texture as the armature name. We can select the texture that we want it to have, like 1K, 2K, or 4K, and the layout. And as usual, if you want to keep the battle model or the visible only, what this add-on does is that it merges everything into one single mesh, which is the requirement for strat map models, and also removes various bones in here, like I think it's called the clavicle bones and the various, weapon bones and all. And if it has any weights, it transfers the weights to the nearest parent. So all I need to do is like select the armature and then create strat model. It will take a little while. Just wait a few moments. And it's done. You can see here what it did. It rebuilt it with the correct bone names, and it transferred over to the nearest bones, and we made a new combined texture, and a strat map model was made. This is the new strat map model now. You can see here that it has a single mesh with only one texture now. And we can then, after we have set this up, we can do a build and convert. This will in turn activate the IWTE, which will do everything like the export it and then convert it with the IWTE all at once. Like all the convert and install section down below. You can see here that's converting. And it's done. You can also copy to the mod folder directly. Oh, set install to mod folder. If you press this, it'll just select the mod that you have selected, or the right button. The left button is for manual selection of the mod. Right one selects from the top. And we copy to mod, it copies to the correct directory, data, and then cast and TGA. And we can also open the output folder, and you can find it here, the cast, the TGA. And moving on to the more random additions that I have made. One of the addition was this one, the nesting of the similar units. And also, I made it so that you have a more sample task files in the export now, like depending on the skeleton that you use in the quality of life section. The quality of life section, like say I rigged it according to, I think I have one already here. Let's say in our DOM in general. I think I rigged it with the armature sword, so it should. So for that, I can just automatically select from the skeleton. I want the sword sample, and when I export it, I can just manually do a sample extract to mesh sword file, or you can just select some sample file that you want. I think these sample files should be more than enough for most of the units, like two-handed sword, an archer, crossbow, javelin, spear, and sword. And I think that should be it for all the new changes in our new mod, in our new toolkit. Thank you everyone for watching, and hope you guys have a lovely day ahead. Oh yeah, one last thing is you can also manually add control rigs from here if you want. From that's the same one from the Unicard control rigs, and you can also create custom poses if you want, and so on.